Hello and welcome to the Columbia Daily Tribune's Behind the Stripes football webcast. This is Tribune sports editor Joe Walljasper, along with Tribune football beat writer Dave Matter. Dave, Missouri in a bye week. They're 3-4. They have a week of relaxation before Kentucky comes to town for homecoming. If you are Gary Pinkel and his staff right now, what are some of the things you would do to try to fix this team before we get back into the game week?
Well, I think you have to start with the offense. I think you give Nick Saban a call and you say, yeah, my old college teammate, I know you landed me that Toledo job about 23 years ago. I probably am the one that owe you favors, but you did just come in and beat my team by 32 points. Diagnose what's wrong with the Missouri offense. Because if he's a defensive genius that everyone says he is, maybe he can point some things out that, hey, you guys are totally ignoring the middle of the field, or you're not doing this when I think you can, and we just didn't even bother covering you in these situations on that side of the field, whatever. I mean, he's got to be able to see something. And not that this is realistic, but Missouri doesn't play Alabama next year, most likely. Won't play them in the SEC current setup except for once every 6 years. I'd give him a call and see if he can help you out.
Okay. What I would do also offensively, you've seen some of the best offenses at both levels now, the NFL and college, just going into as fast as you possibly can running plays. Oregon, New England Patriots, I think Missouri will do that for 5 or 6 plays at a stretch and then stop. I would just do it all the time. And I mean, your time of possession is terrible anyway. Yep. You got to try to do something new. And I would do that because if you do that, maybe you at least have a little bit of hope of making the defense become a little more vanilla. You've got quarterbacks who have a lot of trouble reading defenses. Maybe in that way you could sort of limit the looks you're seeing, and you at least have a chance. And I think with both these quarterbacks, the more you turn their brains off, the better they are. And I think in 2-minute situations they're far better than they are during regular situations. Sure. So I think you got to change up something. We're not going to change just for change's sake. I think you do have to change for change's sake when it has gone this bad, for 7 games. What you're doing is not working, and I don't know that 2 weeks of practice is going to change it. I don't even know how much they don't even practice during the bye week. I mean, the coaches are out recruiting. So I mean, I don't think just to go and say, well, we're going to keep sawing away at it. I think you at least need a little change to believe in, and who better than Kentucky to build a little confidence in. So I think you do need to make some tweaks. And I've been hammering on this forever, but I just think you've got quarterbacks who struggle reading defenses. Then really the point of having 5 offensive linemen and 5 receivers, I don't get it. If it's not Chase Daniel out there pre-snap figuring out exactly where he's going to be able to go because he can tell what the defense is and having all these weapons, these guys can't read defense that way, and the receivers aren't as good. I mean, we thought they were good receivers, but they have dropped a ton of passes. I think you just got to give the offensive line some help, keep it back in the backfield and help block. So I've been harping on that, and of course nothing much is changing, but I think that is something that you really need to look at.
Yeah, I think you can totally go unorthodox here and just try something different. If you watched LSU play South Carolina the other night, I rewatched that game after we were writing during that game the other night in the press box, but LSU's offense has really struggled. They have 2 true freshmen on their offensive line, 2 freshmen on their offensive line because of injuries, and a new left tackle. So they're having an offensive line issue just like Missouri. What did they do? They basically lined up in a goal line offense almost half the game against a really good South Carolina defense, and they just pounded away because they know their quarterback has struggled, their passing game isn't doing much at all, and they just lined up and tried to run the ball best they could between the tackles. Not that could work for Missouri, but they didn't care about formation so much or how many guys were inside the box, how many were outside. They just lined up behind their biggest players and tried to run the ball. So not that that's going to work for Missouri. That's not really their style. But get some extra blockers in there. Get Jared McGriff-Culver's 250 pounds. Give him the ball maybe every once in a while. I mean, we've seen him used him as a blocker. Maybe give a little break to Kendall Lawrence.
Just the willingness to try, I think, is the point.
Just try something. Maybe get a backfield where you've got James Franklin with 2 backs, or with T.J. Moe and Kendall Lawrence. Maybe create a little misdirection.
And they've done that. I mean, that's not foreign to them. They can do that.
And they do it a little bit, and sometimes it works, but then they don't do it again. So a little misdirection maybe help. If you can't block the other team on defense, at least get them going the opposite direction.
Get James moving in the pocket,
get
rolling out or something. I mean, just something different. It's just, it seems like they're really trying to prove this definition of insanity. Okay, but this is what we do. I think the one thing about the Pinkel staff seems to be, they're willing to adjust, they're willing to make changes, but they want to do it in the off season.
Yep.
And I think when you've got a season going south fast and you just got to figure out a way to win a couple games, I don't think you can afford to wait until December.
Right, and last year they kind of did. When Henry Josie became obviously their best player, they changed the offense to work for him, just the way that they ran the ball, some of the formations they use. Well, right now their problem is they don't have anybody that is clearly their best offensive weapon, so they don't even really know what direction to go, it seems like. But maybe it's time you just start really trying some different things.
All right, well, join us next week when we'll look forward to that Kentucky game.